Welcome back to Marvel Millennium, where I am playing every Marvel game starting from the year 2000, at least through 2009, just that first decade, but might keep going further. We'll see what happens when I get there. This is game number 8, X-Men Mutant Academy 2, which is the sequel, as you might guess, to X-Men Mutant Academy, which I already covered. This one came out in September of 2001, September 18th. Is another one-on-one fighting game, much like its predecessor. It seems like this one got decent reviews at the time of release. Mostly positive reviews, praise for its improved graphics, new characters, gameplay, hidden characters, 3D environment, an expanded number of combos, while it was criticized for lack of gameplay modes and the combos being hard to pull off. But in 2011, Complex ranked it as the 43rd best fighting game of all time, so that's pretty high praise. There have been a lot of fighting games since then. I feel like the genre's had a bit of a resurgence in recent years. I am not a big fighting games person. I like action games, but fighting games one-on-one, I get tired of them pretty quickly. There's not a whole lot to do, in my opinion. Before I get started, though, one thing that I have neglected to do in these previous games I've covered is to look at the manual that would come with the game. Because in these early 2000s, really anything before I want to say 2010, so, including most of what I will be covering here, they did really rely on you reading a manual first, and I foolishly forgot and was mostly just struggling through each game on its own, which was, still doable because when you've been playing games for a certain amount of time, you get used to the language and you can kind of figure out how to play them, even if you're not told specifically what to do. So I'm going to pull this up real quick. So this is the manual for Mutant Academy 2. Some typical warnings, table of contents. Looks like it mostly covers the game modes. This is still just more for if you're not familiar with the PlayStation console to begin with. This could come in handy, the soft reset. You can reset at any time during gameplay to the start screen by holding down Start and Select for approximately 2 seconds. Probably won't need to, but good to know. A little bit of lore. The battle continues. The birth of the X-Men. Mutations have occurred since life began. It was inevitable that eventually mutations would result in beings with extraordinary abilities. These are the mutants, men and women whose actual genetic structure endows them with superhuman powers. A mutant named Charles Xavier has formed a team of these mutants called the X-Men. Professor Charles Xavier has made it his life's work to train the X-Men to use their powers for good. But still, some of those born with an ordinary genome hate and fear the X-Men. These unusual warriors learn to protect those that reject them. In the X-Men Mutant Academy, each and every mutant must prove his or her worth in battle against the others. They must learn to harness their rage and utilize their individual special powers. And then it shows some of the other modes, or some of the modes will have arcade mode for a one-player game. Press the X button or the circle button to select an alternate costume. Good to know. A series of matches with characters. Advance through arcade mode by winning all of your matches. As you emerge victorious, you will unlock secrets. Check Cerebro mode to display the secrets. It's probably what I'm going to be doing for this run through, just arcade mode. Versus mode, of course, for 2 people. Academy mode, so that's probably just like a little tutorial, it looks like. I'll check that out first to see how helpful that is. And survival mode, 1 player, never-ending series of enemies. Yeah, probably not going to be doing that. Some info about the on-screen display, health meter, round timer, win counter, and some super meters. This is pretty similar to the previous game, the first Mutant Academy, I mean. Now, this is also similar in that there are 3 super meters that each function differently, and you can transfer energy power from one super meter to another, which is a lot more complicated than a game today would make it. Aerial combat, now you can attack in the air, push up to jump, that's pretty standard for any fighting game. Move counters, 3 meters below the health meter. All 3 counters are reset. Press the L1 button or the triangle and circle buttons together to use a move counter. Alright. Beyond that, I don't think this is going to provide too much. Here, well, here's the combos of the characters. Now, we've got a number of characters here from the previous game as well. Now, Toad is in here. I don't think Mystique might have been in the last one, I forget. Sabretooth, Magneto. Forge is definitely new, as is Nightcrawler, I believe, and Havoc, Cyclops' brother, and Rogue. I feel like I'm probably going to want to play as Nightcrawler, but we'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and boot that up, and I can get started. Hopefully this will pop up on the screen any moment. Okay. Is that... There we go. Okay. Beast, Storm. These are definitely some dated graphics. Wolverine, but could be a lot worse. Even just seeing that, like, Wolverine's mouth moved, his face isn't just a 2D image stretched over a 3D model, like Max Payne style. Our boy Nightcrawler and Rogue. Oh, is that Psylocke? So I guess she must be one of the hidden characters. Probably can't play as Professor X, but who knows? Juggernaut now. Juggernaut's bigger than everyone else, so I don't know if we'll be able to play as him, or he might be another hidden character. I feel like he'd just be a boss. Let's find out. Uh-oh, my controller is not responding. Alright, one moment. Okay, I think I need to restart it real quick. Not ideal. Okay. Okay, loading it back up. Hopefully it works this time, and also the screen will pop up any moment. Alright, it is responding to my button presses, so that's good. Just need it to actually show up on the stream. Come on. There we go. Okay. Alright, so I said I'd try Academy mode first. Got a good number of characters here to choose from, but I'm feeling Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler.
Okay. Dun, dun, dun. This is fairly simple combos.
To complete your training, you must do all that I ask.
Nightcrawler is an aggressive character that will confuse his opponents. Number of standing attacks. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So if you move and hit, it's an entirely different move. Interesting. Alright, this is a little smoother than the first Mutant Academy. Graphics look similar, not hugely improved, honestly. It's nice to have a... Oh, well, that's cool. So there's a difference between pressing down and releasing and then attacking, and holding down and attacking. The little pluses, you have to hold it down. Okay, now we'll try some jumping attacks. Gotta actually be close enough to hit. It does seem like there's more moves here than in the first game. Towers. Okay. That's like jump in the air and then hold back while attacking. Some throws. Cause damage with minimal effort. Nice. Cool.
Now use your...
Yeah. Now special attacks. Okay. Alright. So just a few different types of teleporting around. Doing it from the sky seems not super helpful. Is that what that was? Okay. Oops, wrong one. Still looks cool though.
Perhaps some independent study would help.
Alright, so controls are okay. Let you learn your deadliest attacks. You'll need to extend your mutant powers to the maximum in order to use these super attacks. They're at the most powerful maneuvers at your disposal. And first I just gotta hit him. Build up the special meter. Okay, now... Do I need to...
Perhaps some independent study would
okay.
help.
I need to be close enough to him for it to do anything. That's pretty cool. Might even cooler. Now high in the sky.
You must learn to combine your moves.
The super moves are pretty cool. Will I be able to remember how to do them in the middle of a fight? We'll see. Especially since I think each of those special moves corresponds to a different special meter on the bottom left. I need to either have them all full or know which one corresponds to what in order to use that. Oh boy. Cool. That feels like what I was doing. There we go. Yeah, I can see what reviewers meant about it being a little difficult to pull off sometimes. Even when you can see the exact buttons you need to press up there, it's easier said than done.
I sense your frustration. Persevere, become the mutant I know you can be.
Now, here's an interesting one because
I sense your
the combo ends with down right
Persevere,
square.
become the mutant I know you can be.
Which is that, but also in the middle is down X and circle, which is this, which will put me on the other side of him. So am I supposed to press down right square or down left square, because I've switched sides at that point? Unclear. Yeah, it was assuming I was still on the same side, so that's a little bit of an oversight on their part. Aerial combat, that's a paragraph. Combos executed in the air. Each character has attacks that launch the opponent into the air to initiate aerial combat. Once the opponent has been launched, the player can hold up and seek to the opponent where aerial combat can be performed. Aerial combat takes place in the form of chain attacks, button attacks, air special attacks, and air super attacks, which all correspond to specific button and directional pad sequences. In the case of flying characters, they can launch the opponent, then fly towards the characters using all the attacks available to them. Okay. Okay.
Perhaps some independent study would help.
I guess that worked.
I sense your frustration. Persevere to become the mutant I know you can be.
Yeah, for me, most of these fighting games just end up being mash as many buttons as you can, figure out one or two special moves that'll help out.
I sense your frustration. Persevere to become the mutant I know you can be.
See, I'm not even sure if I can do this even while looking at the combo. Like, I'm pressing all the buttons, just... Can I think this is literally the last move it wants me to know. I don't even... Okay, so it's doable, but it's like you have to know what you're doing. You have to be ahead of yourself. Like, come on. I did all of it. I don't know how I'm supposed to... So, like, if I do this attack, I slide under him and he gets knocked down. And if I want to launch him into the sky... Okay, well, I guess that works. Okay, I guess that counts. I'm a powerful mutant. It just... Okay, it just would let me do that again. Okay. Yeah. Now I can...
Hooray.
What was that? Okay. Alright, time for arcade mode.
Nightcrawler.
This is going to be a pretty quick run overall, I think. We'll see how arcade mode goes. There's no difficulties that I can see, unless there's some settings that I missed. But how long to beat estimates this game at around half an hour, so... Starting right
Defend
off
yourself.
on the moon.
I am Phoenix.
It's a little bit of a mismatch in terms of power levels. She's immediately doing special moves. Oh, now I'm confused, so I'm going in the opposite direction of what I mean to. It's wild that the first person they send you up against in this game is the Phoenix. Maybe the most powerful of the X-Men. Yeah, I've definitely already forgotten the special moves. I have them up over here. Square X. Okay, let's see how that works. Unless she defeats me first.
The dream will never die.
And see, the bummer here is that, like, if it turns out, okay, I'm actually just not that good at Nightcrawler, or he's not that good as a character to play as in this particular game, then I can play as someone else easily, sure, but do I want to go through all that training again? Not really. I'd probably just, you know, figure it out. And you just waste a meter if you're not close enough to do anything about it. Yeah, either I'm not very good at this, which I think is true, or the difficulty is pretty high. Alright, I'll try another character.
The Phoenix.
Let's exit. Alright, well, you can't go wrong with Wolverine. Picked his alternate costume, so we'll get to see what that is. I'm guessing just his, like, original brown outfit. Okay. Oh, and it's against Beast now, so maybe it's just randomized in arcade mode, which is, I feel like, also atypical.
Oh, my stars and garden.
No hesitation from Beast. Okay, yeah, this... Alright, that is,
This contest is over.
Now I'm wondering if there is a difficulty I'm missing. It seemed like he started moving before the fight even was able to begin. Now granted, these are games that are meant for 2 players, right? You're like, versus mode is what these games are for. You don't get this to play through the arcade mode.
Is never the
You get this
answer.
to play with a friend. I want to try that again because that was filthy.
Well, this should prove interesting.
I'm trying to do one of the special moves, and the problem is the time it takes you to move the control stick in that direction. He's already grabbing me and attacking again. Yeah, this is
I don't think you've quite got a handle on this.
surprising, because even the first Mutant Academy, like, I had some trouble with it, but you can get through it. You can fight, even just with button mashing, which, you know, I'm sure they don't. Maybe they don't anticipate like that being the main way you play. They want you to try the combos that they put work into. But yeah, it seems like the trick is never stop moving. Hey, I did a counter. Doesn't matter, of course.
This contest is over.
Alright, who else can we try? Because I'd like to try out most, if not all, of the characters.
Toad.
Though whether I'm able to progress past Fight 1 in this arcade mode, we will see. This did come out after the first X-Men movie, but like, they clearly just
You're not laughing, Toad.
used the character designs from the
Definitely
comics.
use a woman's touch.
One of the things I just did was my special move, because I used up my meter. Okay, well, if it turns out that Toad is just the secret weapon, that'll be a shock.
You sure you got powers?
Alright.
You sure you got powers?
Guess she's done messing around now. Well, alright.
Toad is the
I haven't
greatest.
even looked up to pull up his special moves, so I have that as an option. Bullfrog Boot, Crazy Legs, and Flying Toad are what they are called.
Introducing the Great Toad.
Gonna enjoy this.
Not a bad start. Seems like there's still there's a way to counter enemy moves here, but I don't think there's really a block function. I feel like most modern fighting games, it's just hold back. And you got stuff like Super Smash Brothers, where it's like one of the triggers to make the little bubble. Yeah, this is going like all my fights as not Toad. Just they don't stop moving, so unless you figure out some series of combos, you know, whoever starts a combo first, they get control of the field.
Toad is the greatest.
Finally pull out a special move, and it seemed like he blocked it. Didn't seem like a counter though, so I don't know what happened there. Again, like almost no effect, basically. Let's see, I got one more special move, back, forward, exit, circle. If I can pull it off. Yeah, nothing, ineffective. But Toad still comes away with the win.
Toad is the greatest.
Alright, back to Phoenix. Not feeling optimistic, I don't think, but we'll see. All of the fighting games so far, which has been like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the first Mutant Academy, that's it actually, but those two, you know, they're not as fun when you're just playing by yourself. This isn't, like I said, this is a type of game, an entire genre of game that's meant to be multiplayer. Good finishing move.
Maybe now you take
This
Toad
one, I think, even more
seriously.
than the other two, is it feels unfair. I call a lot of these early games unfair. I just mean in terms of like, it almost feels like the game is telling you like, hey, stop this. Don't play arcade mode. Get a friend. Play versus mode. That's what it's here for. Which means the single player fights just aren't. It's not very fun. Like when it feels random, where whoever hits first just kind of takes control of the board. Like that wasn't a satisfying win, especially. Whereas when she had the upper hand, or when any of the NPCs had the upper hand, it just feels unfair. It feels like they are the AI has been written too well, you know, to fight too well, and to hardly give you a chance. Feels like I'm getting lucky with Toad. Okay, this level was just straight up in the first one. Just the moon base was too, but still. You know, it just doesn't feel very skill based. It feels like luck. So like, you know, if I'm doing it 3 to 4 times as well as Toad as I did as any other character, it doesn't feel like I'm learning or that I'm getting better at it. It just feels like he's a character who is getting in hits more easily. I'm still basically button mashing. You know, you get an idea of like the general combos, the types of attacks each button does. You know the patterns. You know if someone goes up into the sky, you can follow them. Once you learn how to do grabs, sure. But yeah, just it doesn't feel like a very skill-based type of combat. Okay, yeah, the special moves are especially disappointing. That looked like it pretty clearly connected with him and just did nothing. Like this, special moves are kind of the meat of these kinds of fighting games, right? Like when you play Mortal Kombat, you want to know how to freeze people as Sub-Zero, how to send out your little spear rope thing as Scorpion. You want to know how to do the fatalities. That's the fun part of the game, not the basic moves, but the special stuff that takes a little skill to pull off. Now, even when I'm pulling off a special move like this, it just does nothing. He belly flops on the ground. Oh, there we go. I think that was the first effective use of any of my specials. Or supers, I guess they're called. I feel like if a fighting game can't do a good special super whatever system where you can, you know, it doesn't have to hit every time, but you want to reliably, if you pull it off, you want it to hit. And then all of the super moves from either character is like just missing or completely ineffective. That's extremely disappointing. Alright.
Losing's not my style.
Gambit put up a little more of a fight. Could be that I was talking, but who knows. I'll at least try... You know, I don't want to just, like, go to versus mode and play against a static character that's not doing anything. But I do want to try out the different characters, so... We'll keep going. But, you know, I say that and then, you know, like I said, the main thing that distinguishes characters in this type of game is your special moves, your super moves, and if they're not doing anything, yeah, and maybe I won't go through all the characters, because it's just nothing. Well, this is sad.
You could definitely use a woman's touch.
A lover's quarrel.
You ready to play with me?
Yeah, see? Like, how do you make the moves work if what looks like a perfect use of it just does nothing? That was just a grab, that wasn't one of the special moves. Seeing if holding back does actually do a block. Well, not against a grab, but... So I guess maybe it does actually have some block feature if you're holding back away from the other character, which, weirdly, I don't think there was a way to practice that in the danger room. Which, you know, could account for why some of my moves don't work.
And I look
That
good
the other
doing
character is just blocking them. But when it happens every single time, you know, again, what's the point? Where's the fun in that? One second, I still have Toad's special moves lined up. Rogue's moves are Take Your Breath Away, KO Blow, Bone Breaking Blows, and Meteor Punch. KO blow has to be done in the air, apparently. Okay. Nothing. Wasn't close enough, I guess. You could also argue that, like, the idea is you should do the training for whatever character you want to play as. Like, pick one character as your main and just really stick with them, but I'm not going to be playing this again after today, most likely, so I don't really want to invest all my time into just one character because I want to see them all. Once again, he just happened to be in the air, so no luck. Yeah, I mean, that'll do it.
Das got hurt.
Try the last special move. Oh. I mean, yeah, that'll be harder to dodge. That was weird. Go ahead and quit so I can play as another character. I just want to give each character a shot, but it doesn't seem like I'm going to make a whole lot of progress with any one of them in arcade mode. Nice church for Nightcrawler. Who next? I guess I can just start working my way down from the top.
Cyclops.
Give Cyclops a try. Oh, Magneto, haven't seen him yet. Oh, and up in his, well, not moon base, but you can see the moon. Don't even look at me. Okay. Nice to get a move every once in a while. Magneto's a little bit better than me, apparently. What's my second move? Concussion blast, not what I wanted to do. So see, it's pretty satisfying when you pull it off. Would just be nice if that happened more often. the last... Oh, that's what I'm doing. No. Going the wrong way? Yeah, I am. Also pretty
You've got
impressive.
a long way to
I feel
go.
like that looks like one of his moves from Marvel Capcom. Okay. I was thinking of doing Mystique next.
Don't make me hurt.
Taste cold steel.
Which it seems like Mystique's moveset is based on having a gun, which is a little disappointing.
Mystique.
You know, could they have set up at this time a game where Mystique can change into the other characters? Maybe not, but like, I would think she'd be able to, you know, do something like that. Some sort of, you know, turn one hand into a Wolverine claw and attack with that. Attack with Toad's tongue. You know,
Locked, cocked, and loaded.
use other people's
I
attacks
am
in some way.
Phoenix.
But instead, she has a gun and can punch. I do wonder when the first, because, what's his name? Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat, like, that's his whole deal, is, copying other characters' movesets. And it was, from what I remember, like, a fairly complicated setup of, like, you know, you have to press this certain button combo just to pick which character you want to choose, you want to steal the moveset from, and then you have to know their move combos. This, as far as I can tell, it's different types of shooting a gun that Mystique has. Lovely. Just a close range energy weapon, I guess. At this point, I'm just trying to build up my meters in the bottom left so that I can try out her various super moves. Only do that by hitting the opponent. I think I'll retain the super meter even after I get KO'd because there's one round left, so I'm
None can
not
withstand the Phoenix.
too beat up about that. No pun intended. Okay. Revolver Rush. Yeah, I mean, pretty effective once it hits. Not sure I'm gonna be able to try the third one actually, because I think just hitting her enough to build up that power is probably gonna defeat her. So I will start another fight with Mystique just to try to get that last special move. Which is
Lick my
called Carried
boots
Away,
way
so
down there.
we'll see what that looks like. Feels like all of her moves are just shoot hard. Oh, I still haven't seen Havoc yet, that's right. I was entirely unfamiliar with Havoc at this point. 2001.
You come to fight?
I don't think I'd ever heard of them until
Havoc!
not as late as First Class, the movie, but I was reading the comics a bit before then. But I was not into the comics at this point. In 2001, I was gonna try to do a super against him if I can get us a regular hit in first.
Try harder next time.
I will. Thank you, Havoc. Still, I don't think I've actually seen what that first special move looks like. It's called Gut Shot. And every time it gets blocked. Okay, well,
Burned you good.
now I'm going to try someone else because it is what it is. It's just not super fun to keep trying and failing at these special moves. Is there anyone we haven't seen at all yet? Forge? I have not seen Forge. Who also seems to be mostly working with gun as his attack pattern.
Your spirit seems troubled.
Introducing the Great Toad.
Well, at least it's a slightly different looking gun. To be fair, I knew it wasn't going to go well with Toad after playing as him and doing so well.
Toad is the greatest.
I think Forge is the last character that we just haven't seen yet at all in this gameplay. Just let me get some hits in. I just want to try. I guess maybe it is. Maybe it would be a better idea to just play versus mode with no one else plugged in. I can try out all the various super moves. Wasn't there also actually in Academy mode
Forge.
independent study? Will that just let me do whatever I want? In which case, sure, why not? It's not going to be that much less fun than trying and failing to hit the computer player. So it's just registering the combos. These guys have just such a great vertical leap. Let's see, so this would be... Oh, pressing the wrong buttons. Okay, so it does more damage, I guess, but doesn't look that cool. And then last one, Outer Orbit. So another one like Rogue's special explosion that... It's like the ones that you are guaranteed to hit are... I can just put full supers on. Nice. Even better. Okay. Yeah, like there are some big explosive super moves that are impossible to avoid, but anything that involves you being in a particular place does not go super well. I got Cyclops. I feel like I got Cyclops' experience. Got to use his special lasers. Also seems like he's the standard training dummy. Poor guy. Alright, full supers on. That's precise cut. Doesn't look that special. This is special delivery. A little more fun. Seems like 25 damage is usually where the supers max out. Oh, and yeah, Wolverine's super special ability, the one that's hardest to build up, is just rapid regeneration. So gets you health back, I guess. Not super helpful in a practice match. Gambit next. Oh, excuse me. Hope it doesn't seem like I'm bored at all at this game. How long to beat did have Mutant Academy 2 at about half an hour. It's been about an hour now on this stream, but, you know, I'm just making my way through all the different special moves just to see them. Let's try that again. This is Charged Staff. Nice. This is Card Trick. Also pretty cool. And last one is 52 card pickup, which I believe we have seen. Just throws a bunch of cards. 45 damage, so the top one, the final super, can definitely be a little more powerful. Next will be Storm.
Storm.
Which Storm has an aerial super move as well. Any of the ones that have aerial super moves, you can see the how the super moves here are divided between these symbols. I say symbols, it's like the letter S, a forward arrow, and the letter X. If they have an aerial move, it's typically just one of those done in the air instead of on the ground. Or at least some variation. So first she has Hyper Electric Drill, which... Is that it? Just does some... It's not even doing damage, it seems. Huh. Okay. Alright, next is... Or, no, sorry, that was Static Force. I misread that. Hyper Electric Drill is this. Cool. Does it... Okay, so I've got... There we go. This is... That's Hyper Electric Drill. Okay. I'm trying to do... Okay. I was just making sure this actually was Static Force. The control setup for that is a little different than some of the others. This is going to be Thunder Goddess. Pretty basic. There's also Air Thunder Goddess, which is just the same thing in the air. Not more exciting to look at. Coming up next, we'll try Beast, who I've fought against a couple of times, but not tried out.
Beast.
Alright, first up, the Hand Plant Hell. Just a full pile driver there. Next is the Seismic Smackdown. Very nice. And then the Flat Out. Oops. Breakdancing him to death. Alright. Let's see. Next, let's do... Yeah, we can do Phoenix, who has a lot of abilities, actually.
Phoenix.
She's got 7 different super moves compared to most characters having 3 or maybe 4 if there's an aerial version of one of them. Some of them are just aerial versions of each other, but still, 7 is more than twice as many as some of these characters have super moves. Now, she can fly, so that's part of it. This is... Okay, so you can jump and land back down, but if you... I thought it was just double tapping jump. Now I'm not sure how to get back up. Alright, well this is Metaphysical Confusion, which is less about damage and more just makes your opponent move in the opposite direction that the control stick is pressed. So yeah, it would be useful against a human player. Let's see, Searing Arrow. Might need to be flying for that, which I would like to know how to fly. I did it a minute ago. There we go. Okay, I can also do Metaphysical Confusion while flying, but this is... do I just have a limit to how long I can do it? I am not sure about this. There we go. Okay, that's Searing Arrow. This is Scorching Flight. Sure, sends a little Phoenix. And Empathy Shell. Just gives me a shield, I guess. Makes it difficult to hit with a punch, like almost, yeah, puts him out of range. Alright, yeah, the others are, I think, just all aerial versions of those same attacks. Who do we got next? Already did Toad, already did Mystique. Haven't done Sabretooth myself yet. He has a nice normal number of moves, which is to say 4, one of which is only when you're in the air. Alright, we've got Mutant Relief. Which I guess is just another healing move like Wolverine has. The Claw Hammer. Let's try. Actually. There we go. So just a strong hit. 25 damage. Ground Pound. and rampant strength. So maybe just makes my other attacks stronger. I mean, that's interesting. It's kind of cool, but not super exciting. I'll do Magneto next, who I think has the second most super abilities of any of the characters.
Magneto.
At 5. Two of which are while flying, so he's another flying character. Alright. We've got hypermagnetic lift. Easy enough. Can also do it while flying, if I can fly, if I can reliably get into the air. There we go. Yeah, same thing. Electromagnetic gush. Let's try to get close up. Concussion lure. Sure. And then I guess the only other thing left is concussion lure in the air. Sure. Yeah, I think that's it. That's Magneto's abilities. I've done Forge. I haven't actually tried all the supers of Nightcrawler. Learned his special moves. Actually, did I? Was that part of? That might have been part of the end of the training. I guess I did get to try out the supers. Well, I'm gonna do it again because it's too late. It's loading up. Or at least have the names now. The Popular Excursion. Actually, let me put that on. That's just a grab. There we go. Right. Honestly, I think Nightcrawler does maybe have the coolest super abilities. This is High in the Sky. That's pretty cool. Only 10 damage for that last hit though, but it seemed like it did more for the combo. Telecombo is the middle one. 18 damage at least. High in the Sky, that must do 10, 20, 30, and then a final 10. It just doesn't count, so yeah. It seems to think it's a separate part, a separate combo, basically.
Havoc.
Gonna do Havoc, and then Rogue, I think, will be the end of it. Brother against brother. Alright, so Havoc does have an aerial super move, but it's not, doesn't seem like it's necessarily... Oh no, it is. Sorry, I misread it. I thought it was something separate from the other super moves, but it is. I just read it wrong. First we got Cosmic Burst. Very nice. And then, yeah, Air Cosmic Burst. So, can do it up in the air. Universal Meltdown. Just a cool combo. And finally, Omniblast. Let's try to get a little closer for that. A lot of the super moves just fall into similar categories of it's a combo that does a bunch of little hits, it's a beam attack or something that does a lot of damage, or, you know, a beam attack or something like that that sends someone into the sky. But yeah, we'll wrap up with Rogue, and that'll be it. Rogue has 4 moves, one of which is in the sky. Can she actually fly, though? She can, which is interesting because Magneto and Phoenix both, I think, let me double check, had abilities that are in effect when flying, but Rogue just says in the air, which is the same as any other character who can jump. So it's interesting that she can fly but doesn't have any abilities that rely on her flying. Sorry, at least any super moves. She has some regular moves that do appear to depend on if she's flying. But first we've got Take Your Breath Away. Gotta get closer. Oh. So a nice kiss in the middle of the fight. We got KO Blow when in the air. Just a nice punch. Bone-breaking blows. Pressing the wrong buttons. Just a nice combo. And Meteor Punch. Come on. Which, yeah, I had gotten that one before. That was the one you can't dodge, seemingly. This doesn't do that much damage, though. 15. Those punches and kicks afterwards did more damage. Alright, I don't know if I've unlocked anything in Cerebro mode because I did not get very far in any of my forays into arcade mode. So I may have unlocked movie picks for some of these. Okay, well, I've seen the movie, and that's not what Cyclops looked like, so I guess this is just some concept art, which is cool. I do like concept art.
Wolverine.
For the particular characters. Kind of looks like Matthew Reese and the Americans there. Some cool pictures of the claws. I don't think we ever see his bare skeleton in that first movie. I'm not sure what I'm looking at here. More X-rays. A lot of X-rays. Alright.
Phoenix.
Got some early Jean Grey concept art. Seems like they imagined her blonde, which is interesting. Okay, it's just that. Just those 2 pictures. No Beast items unlocked. Beast isn't in the first movie, so neither is Gambit.
Storm.
But Storm is. I love Storm's comic costume, or, you know, variations of it like this. She's definitely a little simplified in the movie. Halle Berry still looks great, of course, but, you know, all the X-Men 2000 costumes, they really went. It must have been inspired by the Matrix. Real black leather styling. So here's Toad, played by Ray Park in the movie. Okay, not a lot of pictures here either, just these 2. Mystique. Looking, you know, pretty similar to how she wound up in the movie. And again, not a lot of pictures here. See, nothing for Rogue or Forge. Got something for Magneto. Ooh. That's supposed to be Senator Kelly when he turns to goop. Must be. Yeah, Senator Kelly. And Magneto himself. Looks like Ian McKellen there, so maybe they already had him decided on. Sabretooth pictures. Looking pretty normal, like just a guy in a suit. That's more like what he looks like in the movie. Not a lot there either. Nothing for Havoc.
Nightcrawler.
Just a third costume. Hold R1 and press X. Okay, well, I'll at least look at that.
Nightcrawler.
See what his outfit is. Hopefully it's a little more comic accurate, I guess. I've already forgotten what his main costume looks like here. Maybe it's got the big shoulder pads this time. Now see, I feel like that's more or less what he looked like. Okay. What was his regular costume?
Nightcrawler.
Okay, so a little different, more of just a red X on the chest versus the V shape that goes all the way down to the crotch. That must be the difference, I guess. Well, alright. We got to see a special third costume. But other than that, any other unlockables would require a fair amount more time in arcade mode, and I just don't think I have the patience for that, unfortunately. So that's X-Men Mutant Academy 2. Let's see if we can... Yeah, we can look at the credits. Probably not surprising, but much like the other games that I've covered so far, wouldn't really recommend this. Like the other fighting games, it's meant for 2 people, at the very least. You can get 3 friends and trade off. But yeah, playing this just one player, it's not very satisfying at all. The computer difficulty is just a little too high even from the start. It's also randomized in arcade mode, it seems, unless it's based on which character you pick, but that wasn't the impression I got. Would I recommend this? No, not really. Still, so far, of the 8 games I have now played here, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the very first one, the earliest Marvel game of the 2000s, has been the one that's held up the best. And, you know, as another fighting game, that's still one where you have to... You really should play with a friend. Playing single player was a little better in that game than any of the others. You at least get 3 characters to choose from in each fight that you can swap between. Mostly, though, it's just the being 2D art on the PlayStation, which actually I think it was PlayStation 2 that I played that version on, so interestingly, that is... I guess maybe that's cheating a little bit, because I think it's a later release to PS2. It did come out on just the original PlayStation first. So I happened to play on the more advanced version that came out later. But that's still the only PS2 game up until number 13, which is the Spider-Man movie game. But yeah, so far, nothing more than original PlayStation or handhelds. So, I mean, that's a way in which the games suffer a little bit too. If I was playing the original PlayStation, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, might not have been as good. But I would maybe recommend the PS2 version of that. This Mutant Academy 2, yeah, I don't think there's really much reason to play it unless you have a specific nostalgia for this game if you played this as a kid. But that is the end of Marvel Millennium, Episode 8. Next game on the list is going to be Spider-Man Mysterio's Menace, a Game Boy Advance game. And that will be actually the first Game Boy Advance game on the list. There have been a few handhelds, but they've all been Game Boy Color. And I feel like Game Boy Advance games, still, some of them do hold up pretty well. Mostly thinking about something like Pokemon, or like an RPG like Mario, was it Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga? I think that was on Game Boy Advance. It can do a lot more than Game Boy Color that can. This is going to be early games in the Game Boy Advance's lifetime, so they still might not be great. But if you want to check that out, Spider-Man Mysterio's Menace, tune in to the next stream.